Reet. Had your gobs. Public service announcement from Fatster's economy lad. All the crap coming is Reet. But didn't ask when war Sloggs and Dan or a couple of doylums that canna use the netty proper, let alone find their arse from their elbow. So gan canny. All the pictures taxed them from all our. So cheers to all the hinnies who hide them out there. So all canny here over the dirt. So if you didn't like it, like me granny used to say, it's nice to be nice. If you can't be nice, fuck off. Didn't let the bairns listen to this unless you want them to go and proper rage and mental. Reet man, pet man. This is one of them D as I say, not as I D moments. If ye want to copy us, Dibben come running to us after with a broken leg. Cheers, bairns, gan canny.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Dan Watson. Who are you?
Skully, apparently. So yeah, welcome to the Dirt.
There you go. Ash was supposed to have had that privilege tonight, but he's letting us down so far. Maybe he'll join us. I'm currently looking at. Yep. Oh, you're back here. You froze for a second.
Yeah.
I got a little bit worried.
I'll keep moving just so we can keep checking.
Unfortunately, Sloggs is unable to join us tonight for reasons. Again, he'll divulge a little later, but he's not able to join us on the call or the episode tonight. And we did have a standing guest host. People have been crying out for this role. Crying out, I'm telling you. Miles, I should have given you the call. Miles Hillier, he should have had the call. He would have come on. But the thinking being is that I wouldn't want to have to be interviewing or having this chat with two people that I'm wanting to learn about at the same time.
And we've
already had Ash on, so he's yesterday's news. Do you know what I mean? And I just thought, he's obviously trying to sort of get some form of attention for the I don't know, I can't remember the name of it at the moment. It's off the top of my head what the name of his new endeavour is, but
speak of the devil. Oh.
Speak of the devil, and he shall appear. Well, he's missed the introduction. He'll be most disappointed. Maybe we'll let him do it at the end or something. He can close the show.
Sure.
Let's give him a second.
Good.
Up. It'll throw him now because he's got to go straight into it off the bat.
I don't know. And then my computer will probably freeze. This is what happens in North, mate. All right, boys, how's it going? What is that?
Oh shit, Ed Sloggs there.
Do you know what? It was worth the wait. It was worth everything.
Are you already recording?
Yeah, we're already recording.
There you are then, boys.
We've literally just introed the show as such. And I said, I'd be gutted. He's missed the opportunity to intro the show. But we'll let you close the show, Ash.
But what an entrance, eh? What an entrance.
No, well, the entrance I found it ridiculous there, like, but this was meant to be Sloggs' normal intro, like, but anyway.
Will you be able to...
the background?
I know. It looks amazing. You've done yourself proud here, man. You've done yourself proud. We won't go straight into it now, but have you prepared a Sloggs' 10 set?
No. But as we go through, I am going to do.
I reckon. That's pretty much his sort of.
I wanted to do it. I wanted to be Sloggs as much as I could be Sloggs.
For those of you who are listening via audio, and again, I've got to go back to it again this week because the requests have been there. Ash has managed to superimpose himself. Apparently, he might actually be in Sloggs' house, in Sloggs' room. But he's done very well. and even got himself a Sloggs mask, which are available for what they're retailing at $12.99, available at atborders.com. That's atborders.com. Yeah, thank you, Ash, for coming on. Thank you, Skully, for coming on. Ash, you're here as Sloggs' stand-in, so I expect you to basically just make stupid comments from time to time and chuck in a few random pearls of wisdom, which I know you've got plenty of them up your sleeve. And being a fellow northerner, that's proper southern way of saying it, isn't it? I thought you might well have a few little insights that I may not about our illustrious guest Skully here.
It's funny you did it like that, right? Because we were out, me and Ash was out on Saturday, and was it? I can't remember if it was Sunny or Jolly, but one of them, when they were trying to take piss out of us for being northern, every other word was this, that, and we were like, we don't even say it. So it's just like an automatic go-to, you know, for ribbing on a northerner. It's just, all right, I'm just gonna this
put in front of it, call everyone our kid, pet, and eat curry rice and chips. That's what happens, isn't it? Every time you get north of Watford Gap.
Hey, we don't have curry. Man, it's still south if you're eating curry.
Is that right?
Great. It's great. Yeah, it's great gravy all the way. You don't put right, just great. Hey, listen I hope you don't mind, but I'm having my tea. But it's not curry rice and chips. It's
is it gravy and chips?
No. It's a homemade pizza. I'll show you. It's quite nice.
Oh, very nice.
I actually have been known to put gravy on pizza, you know, so like it is a good addition, you know, just to pour it all over, you know. But there we go.
Well, first 5 minutes, we've got an easy option for a title, then, haven't we? I've been known to have gravy on my pizza, because for everyone else outside of where you're from, that's probably an abnormal thing to do.
Yeah, man. I remember going down. You know, like Swanbook, right? I remember being down in Swanbook, right? One of the first times I went, and to be fair, I must have been like 17, 18. Went down with like Turner, and I hadn't actually ventured much far south at this point in my life. I think that was I was actually gobsmacked that they didn't have gravy in the local chippy. You know, I was traumatized.
You got to go KFC if you want that stuff down here.
Yeah, I reckon so. Yeah. No, but yeah, no. There we go.
All jelly deals and cockles, isn't it? And mussels, isn't it? And
what is
pie mash and liquor.
You get mucky fat sarnies at pub.
I got treated. Mucky what, sarnies?
All I had there was mucky, and I'm wondering where he was going with it. You know,
me to bring it back. Sarnies is what you have at pub.
This is exactly like having Sloggs on call here. Dropping in and out of reception at the moment. All we need now is for his volume on his mic just to go through the roof.
Oh dear.
I've not had a chance to fully master his laugh yet or anything, but I'll get there.
No.
Boom. Look, we ventured into some of your past there. And we were already knocking on 5 minutes talking absolute bollocks for everyone who's listening. And we probably should, if that's all right with you, Sloggs, move on to a little bit of Skully's history and how he came to found mountainboarding. Is that all right with you, or is there anything you'd like to bring to the episode?
No, I don't know. No, just roll with it. It was weird, right? So like, I say that I didn't. This is what I found a bit of. So when I started mountain boarding, there's no centers right near me. I think I helped like at one point when did Bolesworth open? It was like because I helped build that place in like '04. Yeah, it was '04. It was like the Easter of '04. So like when I started mountain boarding, it was completely by accident, and it was basically I grew up on my mum still lives there. I grew up on a proper Northern Council estate, right? Interestingly enough, the person who lived around the corner from me is a little known cricketer called Andrew Flintoff. So believe it or not, yeah, Freddie Flintoff's mum lives around the corner, right? And he went to the school I wasn't allowed to go to because it was too rough, apparently. Uh, and yeah, like basically to kind of keep me out of trouble when I was like 13, 14, I just started skating. And like in the 90s, you remember the snakeboards?
Yeah.
Right. It was this lad, right, would just whiz past on the street, like just constantly go past on a snakeboard. And he'd have like the proper classic metal benches, like outside the bus stop. And I just see him grinding along on this snakeboard. I thought, that's pretty cool, man. So I wanted to do that. Found one, but then couldn't buy straps for it. So at first I learned how to do a snakeboard. So I could whiz around the streets when I was like 13, 14. Then I couldn't find the straps for it and ended up getting given a skateboard. And then I started skating for years. And there was a guy who lived across the road from me who's like, his partner, his wife, is a family friend. Like my mum used to babysit for his wife. And he was like, I was like 15 at this point, and he was like in his 20s, right? And every time he used to see me skating, he'd be like, "Oh, I guess you got your skateboard," and he'd like do an ollie or do a kickflip or something. And I used to think that was amazing. And then he took me to a skate park and like an indoor one again, learn how to drop in and ride ramps. And I thought that was amazing. And then I won a competition at Liverpool, and from there I picked up a shop sponsor, right? And this is really weird how. So I had this shop sponsor in Preston for skating, and the same guy who lived across the road was like, "Oh, you want to have a go with this?" And he gave me a go of his mountain board that he just bought from Alfred's, an old exit board, right?
Right.
And we just started going down this golf course, and that was it. So the golf were proper like rebellious chavs, right? Just bombing it down this golf course, being chased by golfers. And then by a chance meeting one day, I was in the skate shop as like a 16-year-old that just had nothing else to do in the summer but just hang around inside the skate shop while I was bored. And a guy came in, and what he did was he put the first issue, because he had a few of them, of Skullys on the counter and was like, "Oh, here's this." And then they had a little jam, and it was Scouse, right? If you remember Willow Prey, right? And he was basically like at uni. He just went to uni in Preston, and he just went into the skate shop trying to promote it, and nobody was interested in it except for the guy that runs the shop. Goes, "Oh, you do some of that dirt boarding stuff, don't you?" So then I had to go, and I met up with Scouse, and then I didn't see him for like months later because he did like a little jam thing in the local park. Him, Paul, and Leon Dove, right? Like Paul Turner and Leon Dove. And that was it. And then I rocked up on this little like 80-pound exit board. They had this like 2-foot kicker, and they were gobsmacked that the first trick I did off it was like a front three, right? I tell you what, I could probably front three better then on a crappy board than I can now, right? And they were just right. I did one on Saturday, and it was like almost awful thing. They were just like wobbly all over the place. And yeah, and they were like, "Oh, it's really, really amazing," because they were obviously riding. I think one of the lads had like one of the old biohazards with the daisy cutter trucks, and they were then the same riding like exit boards because it was before anybody had got MBSs or anything like that. It's what you could find. And and they were like, "Oh," then I didn't see him for ages. And then one day I was just like kind of skating in the street, and I saw Scouse just ride past on his mountain board. Right, this is about like 4 months later. He was basically just skating in town on a mountain board to the shops. So I got chatting to him, and he was like, "Oh, do you want to come to an event?" Right, and this is the first event I went to, and it was the Scuzz Weekender in out to grass, the first one that they did, and it was like April at Easter, and it just did nothing but piss it down, right? and we were like camping outside in the fucking freezing cold. And then I was really, really weird because it was me and my mate. So I don't know I do know the legalities of this one. In order for us to all go down, Paul was driving, right? And I really wanted my mate to come. And and there were 6 of us, but we couldn't fit in the car because it's only a 5-seater car. So I said, I'll go down on my motorbike, right? Because I had a little 125 at this point.
from Preston or Liverpool,
From Preston
all the way down to Gloucester.
Yeah. Andy Scuzz, and even every time, I've not seen him for a long time now, but Ian used to buzz off this, right? And the story, like when you have like urban myths, right? And they kind of get exaggerated. They said it was like a little 50, right? Like a little ped with pedals or something. But basically, it was this 125 that I had. And yeah, I drove down from Preston 3.5 hours. About 20 miles into the journey on the motorways when I decided to pull off at the services and take the L plates off. So fucking 3.5 hours or something like that, 3-4 hours, just sat there at 55, 60 mile an hour. And then on the way back, just so my mate could come, just so my mate could take the seat in the car and we could all go. And then, fuck, man, yeah, it was cold. Just remember that was bloody cold. But yeah, that was the first event I went to. So there you go. And I started, and I had like a little exit board. I keep saying this. And people were mesmerized that I was riding the track. Well, the first time I went out to grass. And I didn't even realize that egg shocks were a thing. Do you know what I mean? Because the board didn't come with egg shocks in it. So I was just riding on just springs, trying to do the doubles at out to grass with like no eggs in it. And that was the first. So yeah.
Gee.
That's how I started. So from the mean streets of Preston to basically kept me out. I don't know, skating and mountainboarding. Just basically kept me off the streets. I know, like I say, off the streets. Like I was bloody on the streets more than anything trying to skate, but like away from like all the people nicking cars and shit like that.
Yeah.
So there you go. Kept me out of trouble.
I mean that sounds to me like the beginnings of Team North.
Yeah. Kind of, yeah. Yeah, it was. And it because I know that like before I got on it, it was, you said called it Team North. No, it was NOBS. It was the Northern Off-Road Boarding Society.
Right.
Yeah, so it was originally they were called NOBS, and they decided to basically change it because when things were starting to pick up a bit more, like in like 2004 and everything was about 2003 and 4, they said, if we actually, because they were starting getting in local papers, we thought maybe being called NOBS isn't the best thing for publicity, but
yeah. I suppose you had a few interesting names back in the day, didn't you? You had NOBS, Hate, wasn't it? Was that Herefordshire? I mean, I said earlier that or I implied earlier actually that Out to Grass was in Gloucestershire, but it's not. It's in Herefordshire. Before Matt Bring corrects in the comments below. But yeah, we had a few names. Team Hate, and whether that probably wasn't Herefordshire all terrain, but I don't know what that was. Scum, wasn't it? Southern County.
Yeah. See, I don't know. Again, this is more of a northern one. We used to have like markers up. We used to have a lot of lads from Lake District, right? And because obviously, so when we used to go, so there's a spot that I went to. Actually, I went there a couple of months ago with Jamie Dayton from Cheshire Scrubbers, and I love it. It's called Windlighter Forest, right? And it's just like proper fire tracks, beautiful, right? Beautiful place up near Keswick. So I used to ride there quite a lot. And we used to meet up with these lads from near Windermere, and they were called fucking Borders of Lakeland Extreme, right? So it was fucking bollocks, right? So we used to meet up there and we're like, what is this? A couple of knobs and a bollock. That was it. I feel like people were just making these names up just to be as outrageous as they possibly could.
Yeah, exactly.
What can they get away with? But yeah, the early days of like Team North, it was really weird because it felt like there was a lot of us, but we were quite spread out, you know, and
well, it's a bloody big area. The North. I mean,
yeah, proper, isn't it? It's like because it's rarely like met up. Like my main people that I used to ride with was like Paul, Turner, Scouse, Leon, you know, and Chewy, right? And they were it. Every now and again, I would meet up with Reese and that, but I didn't actually really see the Scuzz lot that much, and they weren't that far away, you know. Well, I say not far away. They were about 2 hours away, and I think that's why we used to struggle quite a lot. Is that before Hales or Hart Hill or Bolesworth, whatever you know you want to call it, like in the early, it's still a 2 hour drive, you know. So the closest place to me was a 2 hour drive, you know. So it's a hell of a day. So it was really hard for us, especially in the early days, to like compete, because that was most of the time. I only ever used to go to centres when I was competing. So I would probably hit a centre 6 times a year, you know, 5 times a year, and that would be it. You know, I'd turn up on Friday. That's practice. That's the first time so I'd spend all day trying to learn a track, you know, and then spend all day Saturday, and then Sunday I'd just be trying to nurse off all the scratches, you know.
Well, I mean, to be fair to you, man, like you've done really well from my memory. You know, he was always in the mix. I mean, I don't know what the deal with the Tantrum sponsorship thing that was going on, because obviously Tantrum had an input into the scene back in the day.
Yeah.
And I remember you sporting a nice Tantrum top at one point, and that would have been around 2005, 2004, 2000.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no. So, oh man, I got lucky. Like it wasn't because I was good that they gave me the sponsor or anything like that. I think it's like the guy, Paul just was good at talking, you know, and they went, look, get this lad on, who's a skater, you know. So I was basically sponsored by Tantrum before I'd even been down the track. You know, I'm not even joking. Like I turned up so it was my first comp with Swanbook 2004, right? And I remember they had her down the event before, and I couldn't make that because I was at work. Paul and Scouse went, got talking to Mike at Tantrum at her down, and they got sponsored after Paul out of nowhere decided to pull a backflip, and then because Paul pulled one, Scouse pulled one, or something like that, you know. None of them could backflip, you know. It was them days where they went, oh, I'll give that a go, and just chuck themselves, you know, and see what happens. So then Paul had managed to talk to Mike Tantrum, and yeah, he then the next event I turned up. I had an exit with no egg shocks in it, you know. So Paul was like, oh, I borrowed this comp 16, you'll be fine on it. So I borrowed a comp 16 to race on, and yeah, they were like, oh, here's a t-shirt, put this on. Came in, you're sponsored by them, and that's before I'd even done a race, right? So it's literally, I just Paul was just like, yep, there you go. So it's not because I was good, you know, not at all, you know. And then and then I think after I did okay, I think, when I used to race quite a lot, but it's not, again, I was having this conversation with Jolly the other day, because like when I raced Jolly a couple of weeks ago at the Rhythm Cross event, right? You know,
well done, by the way.
Oh yeah, cheers. Yeah, it's a good event. He's fast, right, and he's very powerful, right? Like as he was riding it, and I watched like a clip back, and I got like, you know, if you're looking at it from a proper like racing perspective, I got the better pull on him. I was at the first feature before him, right, and like, it was only after the second, it shows how much powerful he was. He literally just did me by pumping on like the third or fourth feature. And I don't think I'm that slow at pumping.
Yeah.
So it just shows how it is. I only used to do okay. Because when we used to do the time trials, like not the time trial, you know, the timed qualifying, I used to do awful. I used to do real shit at that, right? when I was on my own. But then when I was next to somebody in a gate, didn't matter who it was, I could kind of sneak my way through and just hold, like it was like I wasn't the fastest.
Yeah.
By far of it, but I always used to think that I could actually, like just muscle it against. And it's because when I used to ride with Paul and Scouse and Leon, and I was like, I'm not the biggest person now, and I was even thinner then, they basically just used to muscle you. And that's it. And that's what we used to do when we'd go down a track, is basically fight all the way down. That's how we used to race. And so it's just basically like, all you got to do is get out in front and don't let anyone past you.
Yeah.
I don't know how you describe that, but and then like bloody Jack is, like I've known Jack since we were like 15, since he was 15 and I was 17. And look at the size of him. So you imagine, you know what I mean? Like he was smaller, he was like the same height or smaller than me at one point. And I was like 6'4".
Yeah.
So I've always grown up racing against him. And we've had that same attitude of going, and another one is another person, is JC. He's the same one, absolute animal. I don't know what it was, but it's just something up north is that we just, I don't know, just end up scrapping with all you southerners.
That's racing, though. That's racing.
Yeah.
There's definitely with all of those riders that you've said, there is a visible aggression on there's a stance, there's something about the way that you ride and that you all attack a given feature. I don't think that's lost even in modern day. I don't know whether it's maybe something to do with you guys having, I mean, I'm just speculating, but having bigger terrain to ride. In the south of the country, mostly it's rolling hills, isn't it? But the further you get up north, the larger the terrain becomes, and I think you've got to attack it in a different way, or it's possible to attack that terrain in a different way.
Yeah, maybe because it was always like, see, this is where I started mountainboarding. It wasn't even on bloody dirt or grass. I used to skate street. So most of the stuff I used to do before, like, would be me and Scouse would be like doing 5 sets and 6 sets and stuff like that. And that's like a lot of the early days of the stuff that I do. And it's like when we then, we'd like go into the woods or we'd do stuff like that. And proper, like, I'd say no snow hop, but we were on MBS or whatever we were on. And you'd because you knew if you didn't get it right, that tree's gonna hurt. So you're like, if you're going quick, and that's the thing as well, is that some places it's quite hard to scrub your speed off,
Well, that's what I'm saying. Fire tracks and stuff like that. They're notoriously easy to build up a lot of speed on.
It takes a long while to learn how to scrub well, hands down. Personally, I think so. I don't think it's something that you can just. It's my connection bad.
Yeah, it is a touch, actually, Ash, I've got to say. But yeah, I think you were trying to say that it takes a long time to build up those skills, doesn't it? And you bang on, Ash. It does. That I mean, most people prefer the sort of front, if you're riding without brakes, that front side little hop skitch.
Definitely.
A little slide where you're lifting your front wheels up or unweighting your front wheels a little bit and skipping the back out. I mean, obviously you can do it both ways, but most people prefer, it seems, to do it front side.
Like
that's the one. But it always, like fire tracks are just wide enough to get a good carve on, but they're not wide enough to actually take any speed off by the traversing part of that. They seem to constantly build.
Like me and Leon was up at Windlatter quite a few years ago, right? Just riding it, and like there's this run. So it's one of the first runs I ever learned on it. There's a certain part of it that I just know off the back of my head because me and him have gone up there so much. And we thought, we'll go down this one we've never hit before. And we hit it blind, right? and we very rarely hit stuff blind. We normally just walk up them and then come back down. And it was when, I don't know if you remember, like Leon had built a little kit so you could take the springs off your trucks, right? And we just had these eggs in, and we were riding it, and we were riding this run, and we were carving, and then we were picking up the carve, and we're just doing that, and like I said, that momentum was building and building and building and building. And I can't remember, I hit something, and you know when you lose the carve and you're going straight, and then you just end up straight lining, right? Because you've lost that momentum, right? And I remember doing that, and I'm going, fuck me, this is fast, this. And I don't know how fast we were going.
Is it going to drop off, or is it
yeah. And the thing is, we hit this run blind, and we don't know how far it was. And we don't know when's it going to stop. And all we could see was this hill going down and down and down. And we're picking up this speed, and then I lost the carve. So I'm now going, I'm going bloody straight, right? I'm just going straight. And this is a problem with fire trucks, is that I absolutely love them. And that place in Winlatter, it's really fine. Do you know what I mean? So it's quite smooth, you know, and you're riding, if you're riding like, I don't know, 40, 50 PSI or something, you know, because that's the thing as well, is that when you start scrubbing, you've got to have hard tires to kick it out, right? So it's a bit of, so you're like, because if I have like less than 40, the tire, you kick and you just roll. You know, yeah. And I'm not going to forget, yeah. And I just kept going and kept going and kept going and going and going and going. And I bottled it. You know, like when you that's it, your head's gone and you're just like, shit, man, I'm going too fast for this now. I have to stop. So I went into the grass just a little bit, right? You know, to kind of rub the wheels off.
Yeah.
And it was like the weather like it is at the moment, you know, beautiful, like red hot. No, it didn't make any difference whatsoever. So you know, you like to think you're going really fast. So I was probably doing about 10 miles an hour, right? But no, I was probably doing about 20, 25 or something. And I just hit a log. And that was it. Front wheeled, landed on it. A nice big bone went through the elbow. A bit of flint went through the elbow pad into the bone, you know. And it was just sat there like this. I still got the bloody scars. That, of course, I'm going to have them all over. Just absolutely. That's the other problem with riding that type of stuff. It just destroys you. And like, I took Jamie to pretty much the same. Well, we went up to the same area the other week. Well, May it was. And I slid out. And all it was just a power slide. And just a little bit of my side landed on it. You know, Jamie, it's one way you'd be like, oh yeah, you didn't really fall over. You just kind of slid, put a hand down, and then a bit of my side just kind of grazed the floor, and that was it. Just like a rip, like big old piece in my ass, you know, missing, you know. But yeah, it's cool though. It's cool.
Ash, are you back with us now?
I'm hoping so. I'm upstairs now, over here. Sorry about the move, boy.
I don't know how much better that is.
no better up here either.
Well, it seems to be the moment you said it's no better up here, it got better. But stick with it for a bit. And if
So that's the problem with North. You know, we're still trying to figure out how electricity works.
Don't even go there. I live that far south. I live that far fucking south now. I've come back round.
So you're in France?
Yeah, pretty much. We haven't got. Have you got high speed broadband? I mean, Ash obviously hasn't. That's
no, it's my right wheel turning it.
Have you got? I bet you got a Nando's there up where you are, aren't you?
Only just.
Yeah, single one. There's not a single one in the Midland County. What about motorways? Do you have motorways?
Interestingly enough, Preston has the first motorway that were built. You know,
we're still waiting on the first one in Cornwall.
Oh man, so
I bet it was on the way out.
Yeah, it was the Preston bypass. You see, the motorway. No, it doesn't go through Preston. It bypasses it. So basically, it's just to get you past the fucker. You know what I mean? That's why they built it, to get it. You know, just to get you away from it. You know. But yeah, there you go. Yeah. Oh dear. Yeah.
Listen,
Mm.
this seems like a natural little break there for a moment, to go to a reader's question, and we have or viewers' wives, whatever you want to call it. We have. Let me have a look. 1, 2. Only 3 coming this week here, which I'm a little bit disappointed about, because I'd hoped that Will or Paul might have come out of the woodwork, or Chewy might have come out of the woodwork to bloody give a little bit. But that said, so yeah, go 3, and we're talking about reasonably gnarly things. This one is from Emlyn. His question is, what is the gnarliest thing you've ever done on and off of a board? Now, bear in mind, if my memory serves me correct, you're up against reasonably stiff competition already here with Ash, with scaling drain pipes and then having them come out the wall on him and stuff. So I think you're in pretty good company here if you've done anything too mental.
I don't know. Like, I've got scars all over me, right? And they're just from stupid things. I won't know if they say they're gnarly or not. So I have a scar on the side of me, okay? And that was from the traffic lights when I was at uni in Sheffield. And basically, I climbed to the top of a traffic light, stood on the top of it, and backflipped into a bush. And then the bush just kind of sliced me up. So I thought that was a bit bloody stupid. I wouldn't like. I was going down a dirt track when I was like 13, and I don't know. This was I suppose it's not so much what I did; it's more the afterwards, which is pretty gnarly because I didn't really realize. So I was going down this dirt track, and a car come past me. I'll not forget the car. It was a blue Ford Escort XR3, right? F-Reg. I even remember the reg.
We're talking quality era here.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So this was, so I say I was like 13, so it's probably about 99 this happened, right? Yeah, about around 99, 2000. And basically, I was coming down, I was on my old BMX. And I used to bomb it, me and my mates used to bomb it down this back roads near where I went to school. And the car wing mirror clipped my handlebars. Right, he was booting it down this road. The guy was a bit, well, let's be honest, he fucking hit and run, but yeah, he just clipped my handlebars, and I come off my bike. And as I came off, crashed into this concrete bollard, which full of barbed wire. So I just like went up over the handlebars, landed on the barbed wire, and sliced from here to here. Right, you can't see that on the camera, so you sliced from like here to here, right? And I don't know how much viewers want to see, but yeah, there's it. I don't know if you can still see it.
Oh, stay there. I'll put you into full screen. Oh,
I don't know. Yeah, so it basically the original scar went from there to there's a couple of dots there, and then the collarbone came out, and I didn't realize. So when I got up and I finished, I was like, fuck, bike was knackered. The forks on my bike were bent, so I spent about 10 minutes trying to straighten the fork. My collarbones like stuck out, and I'm like trying to basically smash my bike into a wall to straighten the fork so I could then cycle the 5 mile home. Right. I was just like, because I didn't feel it and I didn't realize it. And as I'm dragging my bike up the country lane, I saw this girl, right, that I used to have a bit of a crush on, when you're like 13. I was like, oh, you're right, how's it going? And she looked at me, she's like, oh, you're bleeding. And I was like, oh, I just told her what happened. I went, yeah. And I went like that to show her, like I just did. She said, I can see your bone. And she just like passed out, right? Pretty much just fainting because she was like, oh my God. So I walked into this pub and was like, because it's 99, nobody has a phone. There's no mobile phones, and I'm like 5 miles away from my house. So I walked into this pub and was like, oh, can I use your phone? Or can I use the pay phone to ring my mum up? Dad come and picked me up and was like, oh, come on then, and sorted it out. He's like, it's not too bad. Went to the hospital, and literally the nurse was like, how long's it been like this? I'm like, oh, I did it about 2 hours ago. And she was like, apparently I was about this far from hitting the jugular. and that would have been it.
Yeah.
Wow, you'd have bled out there.
Yeah. Literally, that would. She was like, "Yeah, you're about that far," just because of where the barbed wire would just slide from there to there. You know, it's fucking.
Is that a bone under you, please, mate?
Hey, say that again.
I said, it doesn't matter. I'm just gonna sit here and look pretty like Sloggs.
I didn't say. You got. You sound like you got the ramblings of like a drunken old man in the corner. You'd be like, going, right. Forget about it.
Is it my microphone? Does that help anymore?
Yeah, that's better. Yeah.
Right. Maybe I need to put this out.
Definitely more Sloggs now. Definitely more.
Is that really loud now?
Well,
What? Oh yeah. What I tried to say was, you just said to the woman, or the woman had just said to you, "Is that a bone in your collarbone?" Or something about, "You're happy to see me."
mate, I was 13. I didn't have that. I was 13. Didn't have that humor yet, you know.
But I for one, I'm so glad we persevered there.
Sounds like this shit dad joke going.
Yeah, I know. Sorry. Right, back to my corner, mumbling.
Let's say like on a like a mountain board wise, I won't say I particularly.
I just wanted to say that not only have I had a similar experience, but without the barbed wire, but getting the knock off. But I did hear. I was watching Top Gear the other day, and there was one of the presenters on there. I forget his name. Was saying that he used to own a blue F-Reg XR3i back when he was starting out. I can't remember which one it was, but maybe one of them lived nearby.
Both of them do. Them bloody boat. Well, like you're saying, I don't know if you're taking piss from earlier, but yeah, Freddie on Top Gear, he's round corner, and then Paddy's only 20 minutes away. Like literally, yeah, that's how close they are. So like, so I used to going on to the side.
The mountain board, sorry, yeah.
No, I was gonna completely go. So it's a bit weird. You ever watch a program called Phoenix Nights?
Yeah.
So I used to So I used to work at a school like around the corner from where that's filmed, and that's like where Paddy grew up. Yeah. So it's just on the outskirts of Bolton. Yeah, Farmworth. Yeah.
That was quite a dark program back in the day from memory. Didn't he play Peter? Well, he played a few roles in that.
Yeah. He played the guy in the wheelchair. He was the guy in the wheelchair, and Paddy was at that. Oh, and
they were both
bouncers. Yeah. I showed him my girlfriend, like, because he's quite old. Like, she's from like Cheltenham area, and she's from Cheltenham, and she's never seen it before. So I was like, oh, we have to watch this because it's just classic northern night, you know. But yeah, there we go. But yeah, back to I don't think I've actually done that much stuff that's I would consider, or you guys would probably consider, gnarly on a mountain board. You know, I think I probably landed about 5 backflips in my time, and that was maybe 10 years ago. You know, and that's you know, I'm never going to do one of them again. So just.
Earlier, you've gnarly things don't just come from being in the air, though, do they? And I think your reputation is, if you will, I would have thought that you would probably be described more as the free rider than the freestyler.
Yeah,
at least in your latter, certainly in your latter years on a mountain board, despite the fact that you like to say you are talented on skateboards as well, and snakeboards now called dragon boards.
Street boards. That's the latest one. Yeah, street boards they have the wider deck. But yeah, it's weird. So like in terms of gnarly like free ride, I don't know. Like it's not. Yeah, some of the stuff I used to ride with JC down by near Riz. So so again, you know, when I went to uni, when I did my when I went to uni, I lived not that far from JC, so I used to meet up with him quite regular, and we'd go in the woods. Now he used to ride some gnarly shit, you know. He would like you know what I mean, and just plow his way through stuff, and I'd be trying to work my way down it, you know. So maybe, but it's not what I would consider, you know. And then like I've been riding a few bits more recently with like Jamie and the Cheshire Scrubbers lads, and because they're like coming to this quite new, you know, and they're a good bunch of lads. They see some of the stuff that I do, and I'm like, well, actually, I don't think it's gnarly because was used to riding with like yourselves and JC, and then you look at Ant, you know, and stuff like. I'm watching Pete and Dave, you know, watching like Pete and Dave, you know, over the years. Even like when we were up in Scotland, and I watched Robbins go through, you know, like Leon Robbins go through the woods, you know, up at the Scotland event, and he was a known freestyler, but even watching him go through them woods, you know, was a good skill. So because I'm used to saying that, I don't see it as gnarly.
Yeah.
Well, like I saw, like you put that, I saw you put the picture right of where I did the Palmer in the I am real that looks a lot better than what it is in real life.
Look, but sometimes that's the cool thing about some photos.
Because there's another thing. That's why I like photos so much, is because there's another picture at another world, and I just do the same, a Palmer over a jump, and it looks huge, right? But it's not. Do you know what I mean? I have a very good talent of making
that was
small things look big,
pretty big,
you know.
And does your partner agree with that?
She will do, yeah. You know, and then when it comes to like the big jumps, you know, at like Bugs and Hales and like the old fat face ones, you know, I can just kind of skim my way across them, but I never, you know, whereas like I love watching Rennie go up, and just it's because he just looks so big and floaty and stuff like that, you know. And it's not necessarily the biggest trick in terms of, he might only do a 360, you know, but it just looks so huge and stylish.
And I can't, isn't it?
But so that's so there's a lot of stuff I've done which probably look more gnarly than it actually is. Like that wasn't believe it or not, that's not the biggest drop. That's probably only about a 2-foot drop.
Yeah.
right.
Well, but again, I think, like you say, with photos, it is on my account, a missed media, right? I miss it.
For sure, definitely.
There's a rider does not make the photograph. A trick does not make the photograph. The landscape doesn't make the photograph. The drop or the kick doesn't make the photograph. It's the combination of those things. I mean, for example, we've just done Mason Moore's episode.
I saw that.
On his Instagram post there, the first picture of it for the episode thumbnail is him doing that big nitro. I think it's in the nitro circus. With massive, absolutely huge. And then the last photo of it is a sunset photo of doing I forget whether it's either a crail or a palm, that sort of style, like backside tweak grab. In a sunset, but it doesn't look far off the ground. But it's the combination of those, you know, it's like mixing a cake, isn't it? You need all those things for it to be right. And it's missed in my maybe just old. Maybe just old and reminisce about Scars and about ATB Mag and so on. I miss those media sources.
And that's what I think that's, you know, I think that this can kind of move quite nicely on, because I think I had this discussion with you when we were at Books the other week, is that, like, I think there is, I don't know, you know, obviously we've seen it when Mountainboarding in the UK was like at its peak, you know, at its absolute best. And I think we, at that point in like 4, 5, 6, we were the envy of the world, easy. Jamie, and we had like a 5 series. We had a series, not one comp a year. We had a series. We had sponsors that were putting some big money into it. You know, we had like not just mountain board companies. We had things that were nothing to do with mountain boarding, like 0800 reverse and stuff like that, you know, and fat face putting money into the sport. So obviously we've seen it when it was big. Now as it's dropped, you know, as it's dropping, it's like, how do we expose it again? You know, how do we get it out to the masses so people want to take interest and want to put a bit of money into it, you know, to make the event or a series and make it worthwhile again, you know? Because I think, like, you know, like we were on Top Gear, you know, as a sport, you know, we were on Top Gear, and I remember
and question a sport, and what was the other one? Pete was talking about. I think it's all. No, not I think it's all over.
They think they had it. They think it's all over. That was it. That's when Pete and Dave dropped off the stood there, you know, and jumped off the scaffolding, you know, and then you had like Tom on Top Gear, and then I think they did a little. Remember Extreme Channel? They had like little segments on that, you know, like Tom and Joe and stuff. And Downey.
Extreme Channel,
yeah. Because I remember when the presenter came to film it all. I think we were down at Swanbook, and she filmed like a little segment with Tom and the Team Exit guys, and you know, and you had this like quite a nice looking presenter turn up at a mountain board comp. So as you can see, everybody else were like hounding away in the background. You know, a lot of like 18-year-old pubescent kids, you know, just looking, going, wow, a girl, you know.
In our field.
Oh man, I have a theory, right? I have a theory of why mountain boarding like never hit it off. Not never hit it off, but it's not like as big as the snowboarding or the skiing or the surfing and I don't know. And it's because I don't know how this, because we can't attract ladies, you know, to the sport. So like if you go surfing, you know, you can go sit and chill on the beach, right? And you get all the hunky guys in the trunks that look like you know, work out a lot. Or if you go skiing, you've got like all the Russian millionaires in Courchevel and stuff like that. With all, you know, you used to work in Courchevel, so you know what I mean. When you go out there,
there's a goes alongside.
You know, is it like is it 1800 and they have like the Rolex shop as you come off the mountain or something like that, you know? And then you've got the mountain biking, and then the skate. You've got the bit of a punk. What have we got? We got a weekend with a load of tinnies in a smelly field in Gloucestershire. You know, it's not selling it.
Rains half of the time.
Rains half of the time, you know, classic British. That's my theory, you know. We've chosen something where we're just gonna sit there in the mud and smell for 4 days, you know.
I think you're onto it. I think you may be a very, very valid point there, because my wife, I wouldn't be able to tempt my wife to come and sit in a field for a weekend, go camping.
Oh no, like I'm trying to, like, you know, I asked her for a girlfriend and she wants to come, right? And she's like, oh yeah, I can do, right? But because she's from Cheltenham, she's only 20 minutes down the road from the Champs. But she's like, oh, but while we're down that area, I'm probably just going to go to my mum's and then see my friends on the Saturday and the Sunday, because, you know, the idea of, you know, sitting in a field was probably going to rain, you know, with a load of the guy, you know, it just doesn't appeal to it, you know. So I think that's the problem, you know. It's not the sport, it's us. You know.
Oh Christ, we're touching on, we're getting on very fucking sketchy ground with the social sciences there. Geez. Oh my days.
There you go.
I've forgotten where we're going now for a second.
That's gone deep, hasn't it? That's gone
deep. That has gone really deep there, because I mean, like you say, we did touch on it a little while back, and how to go about doing this. And I've subsequently had I think I was chatting maybe with Eamon or Matt, I'm not sure, you know, about how to build up a sponsorship portfolio for, you know, the events and like, but what, being that we are so small, what can we offer as a community in terms of exposure to the outside world? You know, like 0800 reverse, for example. they sponsored the event. This is pre-internet days, isn't it? Really, it was when you could, and essentially it was, we were advertising, or the series was advertising a phone exchange company that you could dial before dialing whatever you wanted to be able to get not a free call, but whatever.
Reverse charges. Yeah.
Like, so there wasn't internet, there wasn't pop-ups, there wasn't cookies on your screen when you're scrolling down your social media feed or whatever. So although it was a small community there, you're still talking of 1,000 or so people.
I was gonna say, you say it's a small community, but I remember you would easily get 1,000 to 1,500 people in terms of, because I think we had we were getting 250-ish competitors. Yeah, 200 to 250-ish competitors. But that was, again, at that point, it was a real mixture of age categories, you know. It's a real mixture. Like, for example, I remember the Out to Grass race that year, and I was in the under-18s, and I didn't qualify for the knockouts. And I remember, because it was me. I remember it was like one of my second or third races ever, and I didn't qualify for the knockouts because I was in racing with Dave Compton, right? It was like me and him, and we both didn't qualify, right? And and you've known Dave Compton a very long time, and he's a bloody good rider as well. And yeah, we came like 40th. Do you know what I mean? Because there were like 60 odd people, and that's in one category, and then the Open was the same, So it's real. So yeah, the 0800 reverse. Well, it was guaranteed that it was being sold to like 1,000 people. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was being advertised to like 1,000 or 1,500 people. Yeah,
for six weekends of the year.
So
that's quite a lot of exposure. But in the modern day, when, I mean, how easy is it to be able to sort of, you can sponsor posts on Instagram and stuff like that now.
And that's it. And if something,
and it's so accessible to so many more people. How do you entice a sponsor back into the sport? What benefit is it, apart from somebody who already has a vested interest in the sport?
Right? Well, this is where I'm not the biggest fan of electric boards, right? And we went out with the Tramper lads, and I've had a go on the Apex ones, and they're fun, right?
Yeah.
But I get bored of them very quickly. But I actually think that at the moment the electric boards kind of not keeping us going, but they're the reason why we're getting new tech. If it wasn't for the electric market, you wouldn't have had Apex popped up, and if it wasn't for them, TED wouldn't be changed. Do you know what I mean? TED wouldn't be renovating, and if it wasn't for the electric board market, TED wouldn't be trying out new tires. Do you know what I mean? He would have still had the same Primo tires or whatever Tramper tires they were using previously, and if it wasn't for him building the electrics, he wouldn't have got the slicks, and if it wasn't for the, and he won't be trying, because he had like the golf cart ones, which are like stupidly big, so if it was, it's, and if it's not, because we can move it, like we can, that's where I think at the moment, it's not necessarily the gravity side of it. I think we're just kind of tagging along now, because because the e-board market, it seems to be going to be picking up bigger, and the guys that are buying,
electric, if you're looking, don't forget, electric mountain boards electric skateboards even are still pretty niche in comparison to skateboards. And electric mountain boards are even smaller niche within that. But that said, as you rightly said, I wonder how many electric boards are being sold in comparison to downhill boards. Like for like. So for every one downhill setup that's sold, I mean, it's a bit hard because the DIY is quite
exactly. So
and Hero, as you know, well, you ride an Apex board, They're essentially a hero.
It's a hero. It's literally a hero with just a different bottom graphic. Do you know what I mean? Made and all they've done is so it's the same boards. I think Lee got a big batch made with his logo on the bottom, you know, and they've got the plate, the screw holes, you know, so you can put the battery box in the middle, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, he gave me a good deal on one of the boards, you know.
He had promised to send a question over. What can I say? Lee, I know he'll be watching because he said he wants to watch. Lee, I'm hurt. I'm really hurt. I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed.
But yeah, like when you say like for like, it's hard. It's a hard description because when you look back in the day when how many mountain boards, like I remember used to chatting to Joe Dicko and AJ quite a lot, and they didn't make money. MBS never made money off the pro boards. Do you know what I mean? It's always the cheap boards because they sold so many of them.
Yeah,
you know, but you know, like realistically,
it was selling in bulk.
Yeah. How many people were going to go out and spend £400 or £500 on a downhill board? You know, it was people that were getting their £80 to £100 boards for Christmas and then not using them. You know, basically that's where they were making the money. And I think what I've seen, you know, like just here, I see loads of random e-boards, right, whether mountain or not, in Leicester, right, just cruising around. Because I work where I work, it's just cruise through all the time. And I remember like I stopped somebody and like they had basically a full Tramper electric board, but it was home built.
Yeah,
you know, it wasn't one of Ted's built ones, but and I was like, oh, cool, man. Do you know that you get that from Tramper? You know, and they were like, no, who's Tramper? I'm like, the board that you're riding. And they were like, oh no, I just bought this. He's like, bought this off Facebook and then built the electric himself. You know, so I feel like, and a lot like a mate of mine, or a couple of mates of mine went out and bought electric skateboards, right, quite a few years ago. And I feel like it's not people that want to do it as a sport like we do it. It's people that, like, two of my mates, he goes to work on it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that's it. But it's like people who, they might have skated a bit a few years ago. You know what I mean? They might have skated a bit as a kid or something like that. But really, the electric board is just a cooler way than having a scooter. You know, like having one of the electric scooters. And that's it. You know.
I think a lot of the electric boards now, they'll you know, use like a longboard style deck, but they'll put like 7 or 8 inch, you know, normal, like what we use, like these.
Well, yeah, like
without bindings, but then we'll just
I saw that.
So
yeah, I saw that. I saw like like a longboard bamboo deck with the
like all-terrain skateboard, if you will.
Yeah, and I look at it and go, how did they turn it with the wheels? Do you know what I mean? How loose do they have to have it? You know, would they not even have, like, in my head, I'm thinking, do you not even put sky hooks on it? You know, just something to give you a little bit to lock your feet into. I can kind of understand it when you have the little, because these 8-inch tires, I've been eyeing up all the scooters, you know, like when you go into the cities where they've got them on a program, I'm eyeing up and going, right, well, if I run out of mountain board tires, I hope them wheels fit, you know. Do you know what I mean? I was like, if mountain boarding dies and we have to build our own kit, right, that much, you know, I hope them wheels fit. You know, I'll start pulling on them.
To be fair, you got parts for an electric build there, haven't you? Just start stripping them down and making your own boards.
Exactly. There you go. Exactly. There you go. Apparently, somebody told me this. I don't know how true it is. You know, I'm not going to name names. They've got that's where the GPS chip is in the battery. So if you do start stripping them down, that's when they come knocking on the door to say you've nicked our scooter. You know?
Right.
There we go. On that note.
I reckon Lee could strip a battery down pretty quick enough to get away with the GPS.
I was going to say, do you do it in the back of the van though? So you're driving around, so it's constantly moving, so they don't realize you've stolen it, right?
Yeah, just think that's what you get to build a board. I reckon you're going to need at least 2 scooters per board, aren't you?
Yeah, because you
You're
need
gonna
four
want two
wheels.
motors.
You want four wheels.
4-wheel drive, yeah, you're going to go 4 scooters.
I was just on about you need 4 wheels, mate. You know what I mean? You're not building a board with 2 wheels on it, unless you're after a dirt surfer. But yeah,
Yeah, I reckon how quickly could you strip about a scooter down to its battery and rip open the battery pack?
Yeah, and how long? I don't know how long them batteries last for on a scooter, because I don't know. Like when they hire them out, how long do they get charged when they go in a docking station? I don't know.
I've never been. They don't have them in the county.
No. They don't have them here either. Just they've got them. I know they've got them in Cheltenham. I think they got them in Nottingham as well. But yeah.
Have you had a go on them, Ash? They got them where you live?
There is I think there's some in Leeds. And too expensive, I think, to use a lot of towns. But yeah, it's just it's a bit rich for month, stupid like that. I can't quote, but yeah, cost of fair.
I feel like this is just tying in with what you said at the earlier,
Oh dear.
Actually, all I got then was like Ash's grumblings of going too expensive.
Maybe I need to speak up.
I don't know what. I'm enjoying it nevertheless. So
Can you still hear?
I can hear you.
Is it any better?
No, no, it's not.
It's going to go well. This is it.
Are you sat in the local Tesco's or something on their free Wi-Fi? Is that why you got this background on?
What pay for it? What pay for Wi-Fi? Nowadays.
Yep, absolutely no idea.
Oh no.
This has been a dismal. This has been state. I've not even managed to get a chance to set, but then it's all got tits. So yeah, apologies.
Talking about tits.
Classic drunken old man.
It's like having Father Jack in the corner.
God.
Oh dear.
Where are we at? Let's use this. Let's use this time wisely. Seeing as our bloody our guest Sloggs is having a few issues, why don't we go over to the real Sloggs for his viewers' question for a second. Hold up.
Hi guys, sorry I can't be with you this evening. Unfortunately, I'm on my way to LA. I've got the red eye over. I've got a meeting with Columbia Pictures, who are interested in doing the Dirt Mountainboard, the movie. There's talk of Tom Hanks playing me, obviously in his more of like his Philadelphia sort of role, and the dude that played Uncle Fester in the Addams Family is going to be playing Dan. So there's something for everyone to look forward to there. I've got a question now for Skully. When will you be doing more naked photo shoots for your board company and your hoodies? Interested because I have worn mine out. It has been masturbated over something chronic and it's on its last legs. So I need some fresh material. Cheers, guys.
Oh dear, no.
First of all, that on.
What's the photo?
What's that on his head? Is that hair?
It's got hair on his head, yeah. It's growing back.
Me? Oh, Sloggs. Oh, yeah. I was like, what the hell are you on about? Yeah.
Oh,
and-
I thought you was asking what's the photo. Are you familiar, Ash? Was this may have been before your time, or you may have been
I
been
think
too young to fully appreciate this. Sloggs is referring to an old ATB shop advertisement in its original form, and
then a month later.
So I'm looking at it now, and I'm wondering how to get around. Do I want to put the original up on screen? I don't know whether Di still wants it out there. I don't know. I mean, I suppose it's on the internet, isn't it?
Yeah.
But we'll say it's there. Can you see that, Ash?
Yes, I can see that. Yes.
Do you remember that photo? That advertisement campaign?
But not with him on it.
Here's the one that Sloggs is referring to.
That one, yeah, as well, yeah.
Yeah. So, how did this come about? What? I mean, obviously, as we've already discussed, mountain boarding was a bit cheeky back then.
So no matter how much you tell this story or the issues of it, it's not good. It's not a good story. As in, it's not going to do anyone favors, right?
Oh no!
Because there's even worse pictures or somewhere, right? So it doesn't help, right? So it's when Chewy. So when Chewy was editing ATB Mag and was working there, and he must have been about. So it wasn't old. Chewy was, he must have been about 15, right? The reason why I say that because this is what the joke is with that. That was I was 17 when that was took. Right. So technically, is it child porn?
Oh no!
Right, that's why I say that the story is not good. Get me in. Right. But it was took, and it didn't help. So we were at Turner's house. Hold on, are we back?
Yeah.
I feel like
you're still all good with me on here.
We're all good on my side.
I can hear my back. I can hear Ash. Right. I feel like we need to get this. Okay. All right. Okay. It's just because you've frozen on my screen. So right. Anyway.
Yeah. We've got your audio, but you've frozen on the screen there. Keep going with it, and if you suddenly cut out, we'll be able to tell, and we can just go back or skip over or whatever if it gets too dark. No, it's just me and you, Ash.
For technology, isn't it? I know it's been a bad one for technology.
Oh, no,
You can't even hear me, can you?
I'm left with the fucking drunken ramblings of Father Jack in the corner, the odd bird.
Oh, not down, elf.
Actually, stay with me. It's like you've sucked all the energy out of Skully. He's just left there. It's like maybe the FBI or the CIA or MI5 are in.
He's gone.
They just heard child pornography being mentioned, and they just cut him out of the episode.
This isn't live on the internet, though, is it?
No, it's not. Yeah. You never know who's listening these days, Ash. Bloody Skully's completely gone. Hopefully,
he has disappeared.
Hopefully, he's just logged out and then logged back in. And
well, my mic, can you not hear me at all? Or is
no, I can hear you. I can hear you. You're a little bit broken. But...
Yeah, I think it's definitely my internet. Oh, the reason I tried to ring you earlier is I've also dropped my phone down the toilet this weekend.
Oh no.
I haven't got I saved your number on WhatsApp, not on my phone. So I tried to ring you earlier, good number to get in touch with you. By the time I got onto my laptop, I then message you to be on. If you got any of that.
No, I've just had a look on. I haven't seen any message from message or missed call on WhatsApp, but I shall send you a private number.
On the number
I'm back. Sorry about that.
Which I've transferred over to. I couldn't ring you. So.
You're back.
Yeah. Back. Right. Right. So hopefully it was stable. So it's right. So, right. We saw that advert. It was 22. We saw that advert, right? The dye one, and she had like this little. Because I remember hers wasn't even a big advert, right? And it was only because Jack got us into the magazine why we did it. Well, yeah, and Paul Turner said, "Oh, you know, it'd be a really good idea, right? Was if we get somebody to do it, right? Somebody else to a guy to recreate it, right? And stupid enough here, they convinced me that it'd be a good idea. Yeah. So basically, one evening, we were around at Paul's house, and yeah, so there was. Recreated the advert, and yeah, basically in that actual picture I'm not naked, okay. I do have boxers on, but we hid them behind the MBS deck. But yeah, there's much worse pictures that we did that involved a helmet and, you know, full mounting, and it was on Paul's computer, right, for ages. And he ended up living with Jack, and then one day, like, Chloe was 12 or something, really, and started going through, like, was on Paul's computer, and you're like, no, you can't go through. yeah. So that's why. So basically, to summarize how it came about, it was a 26-year-old man taking pictures of a 17-year-old in his back bedroom with a 15-year-old in in the vicinity, you know. That's why it doesn't. If you say it like that, it sounds awful. But
well,
like,
Scully, if ever you want to talk about that thing, I've got a little doll here. You can show us where Paul touched you on the doll, and we can talk about it like that. My goodness. I didn't realise I certainly didn't realise you was not of age as such at the time. My goodness.
But I remember being at Ballsworth, right? Like, see, it was really like when that came out, it was really funny. Everyone loved it, and everyone was like, "Oh yeah, it's really funny." That Di was not happy, right? I don't think, because she just got, everyone just started ripping into Di for, "Oh, have you seen what Skully's done?" You know, and stuff like that. So I think that haunts her more than me. But I remember, like, about 4 or 5 years later, and I was at one of the rounds at Ballsworth. And the next day, right? And I was like, and I just got up the next day. I was chatting to this guy, like somebody's dad. I don't know who it was, right? And just out of nowhere, he went, "You're that lad who did that naked advert, aren't you?" And I was like, So he was like, just, "Oh yeah." And then for a certain period of time, so like Paul or Scouse would just repost it, you know, randomly, right, out of nowhere, just be like, "Oh, Scully, remember when you did this?" Right? So it could be like, so like somebody posted, so like I think Paul or somebody tagged me in it, right? And then obviously it popped up, and this was about 3 years ago, two or 3 years ago. And it was when I was like doing my PhD, and I'd met some people, and I was like going snowboarding, and I was like this 30-odd-year-old guy, and then all these were like, "Oh my god," like all these like students who were like in the 20s were like, "What the fuck is that?" Like, you know, it's when I was like meant to be some, like, by now, like some respectable member of society, and then you just see like, "What the hell is that?" You know, I was like, "Yep." Yeah.
I feel your pain. I mean, thankfully, I've never actually become a respectable member of society, but I do feel your pain. I've got there are some classic shots of me lurking around very suspicious poses, and
I don't know how to recreate it, but there was one, and it's literally, you can't, like, completely stalkers knelt down like that with just a helmet, you know, and like we were gonna use that or something like that. We were like, nah, it's a bit too far, this, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like we've crossed the line into paedophilia or bloody child pornography as it is, but you know, just a helmet, that's one step too far. No. But it's like, you know, like it's really, when you look at it, because like our pose, it was if you know, we saw him as an adult, you know, and I was like 17, 18 at that. Well, I was like 17, 18 at that point. And you were like, oh, he's, you know, he's got a job, he's got a house, you know, he's an adult. And then when I got to 26, I was like, nah, mate, I'm not an adult now, you know. Yeah, exactly. Dave Compton, as you mentioned earlier, likes to occasionally reminds me of the fun that we used to have when he was only about 14, 15. And he'd like wingman me in the car and stuff, and the, you know, the shenanigans that we would get up to. Yet he looks at me as like, or used to look at me as like this mountain board uncle or whatever. And I'm thinking, well, I'm not that much older than you. I mean, now, like, the older you get, the smaller the age gap gets. You know, when
that's like me. That was me and Leon. Do you know what I mean? Like, because you know, you've known Leon for a long time, and you know, I think me and Dave are about the same age, and I think you and Leon are about the same. And I looked at Leon, you know, as the MBS rider, and he had his big battle bus and that stuff. That was it. You know what I mean? That was him adulting. You know, and like you said, he was like the big brother, uncle type thing. You know, to me. You know, so I can completely get where you're coming from looking at it that aspect. And you're like, and then, yeah, as I got to the age now, like I'm older now than when I met Leon, you know, and I'm like thinking, like going, fuck yeah, man, I thought Leon had all his shit together, you know, but clearly none of us do, you know.
None of us ever do. I don't think.
Yeah.
It's all just an illusion.
Yeah, so. So yeah, I think we could have stories there that puts Jimmy Savile for a bit of his run for his money there, you know.
What a bombshell.
From that. You still couldn't hear, could you?
I'm quite, you know, for those that are watching or listening or audio description, Ash is mumbling something about chips and gravy.
There we go. There we go.
Oh yeah.
Ash, look, I know you can hear me. Can you hear me? Make any sort of noise if you can. No. See, this is what we're up against.
Yep, I did.
Oh, you did make a noise, did it? We didn't hear it.
Oh, right.
I was hoping to talk to you a little bit about 80 boarders and that tonight, but I don't know how we're going to do this.
I don't know how I'm going to do it either.
Is it worth, while I do another viewer's question, see if you log out and log back in again, see if it, or turn your Wi-Fi off and turn back on again, see if that will.
I'll give that a go. Definitely give it.
Yeah, cool.
Try it, because I would like to have a bit more out of you if I can. See you in a minute. Let me have a look here whilst we're on the topic of Leon. Here.
How do I leave?
He's gone. You've had a hand in the Rhythm Cross events since their sort of inception, haven't you? Or
I've just been making the numbers up.
Well, well, to me, I mean, obviously Leon Dove, bless him, is the driving force behind that. Leon, if you're listening, I'd love to one day do an episode with you, buddy. I know as you said, our racing history runs quite deep. I always sort of, I think, met him more often than not at some point in the racing, and always judged, him as a peer, if you will.
Yeah.
As a marker for where I deemed my sort of abilities, and yeah, like you said, you've done a recent one with the guys there. With Tom, you came second to Tom's first. You came in third there on that.
Leon came third.
Leon came third. Cracking. No, Chewy didn't turn up this time.
So Chewy's hurt his back, you know.
Right.
so yeah, no, Chewy's got he's had a back problem for a few years. That's why he's kind of been dipping in and out for the last few years, because basically he gets like a flare up and then his back kind of seizes up. So probably being so tall or something. But so that's why
I have some severe back issues. It had seemed this last.
Yeah, well, we all do, right? Like my back hurts from time to time, and like when I started breaking bones and stuff like that, my mum would always go to me. She goes, "You'll regret that when you're 30. You'll regret that when you get to 30." I was like, give over, you want it. And then, oh yeah, she's bloody right though, isn't she? Everything, like my shoulder aches, my wrist aches. I fell over. What was it? Last August, I did my knee right on a half pipe, just skating. It still hurts, And then I did my ankle, like on a little pump track where I just forgot to turn around the corner, and come out the berm and just fell over, rolled my ankle, and it still hurts and cracks. And that's like 3 months ago. You just don't heal anymore. But yeah. Sorry for sidetracking, but
all right. Ash,
is that any better?
We'll see.
Can you hear?
We'll see. We'll see.
We'll see it.
For those that all back in the room.
Yeah. I think like what the idea came was him and Scotty, quite obviously in the early inception of it, were at that same like your generation, but mentality of racing, when being so far away, or from everywhere, they kind of were like, well, what can we do? And like round the corner from Leon's is
hi Jody.
Jody said hello.
Hiya.
Plan B.
Hey, this is much better.
No, I should have used their laptop before.
Hey,
I'm flitting between you three. I don't know how to change that setting.
Don't change anything. Don't touch it.
Just keep it.
Just leave it alone.
There we go. Exactly. See you all. Right, sorry. Carry on.
So yeah, like there you go. So yeah, basically, he wanted to do some. He just wanted some racing, and that's all it was. He wanted, and there's a BMX track not far from his house, near Chorley, and he went there one day, and they had a race on, like a BMX racing, and he watched all these spectators, all these people racing for one day. They all turned up. Nobody camped over. No, nothing like that. They all raced. It was fast. It was like kept flowing and flowing and flowing, and then they all left. And he was like, can we do something similar? Basically, instead of having this where you go down to like spend 6 hours driving down somewhere, to get down to Bugs or somewhere else like that, can we have something local to us, where it's quite quick, and we just get a few people and we just try and get a bit of racing again, and then you can actually like set your board up. So we did one in Manchester in this is when we were talking about the media thing earlier. I feel like stuff like this is really good because it's on a public track. It's somewhere where when we go, there's kids watching. Because they're just going past the park. He'd done it for 2 years in a row, and it cost him a fair bit of money. But we went, and there's a video of us racing on the indoor track in Manchester. you know. So we're at an Olympic standard track, you know, and there's times where on that track, because it's got a big roll in, and once you've got like your tires pumped solid and you're pumping and you've got the flow on it, I feel I can go quicker on some of them tracks than I could on. I'm going quicker on them tracks than what I do on a border cross.
Yeah. Well, it's super smooth as well, aren't they?
Exactly. And it's like controllable speed. So, you know, like you go quick at hair down and you roll at hair down, you were like, or a court farm, you were on the edge. Do you know what I mean? Because it was fast and it was almost, well, I feel like you can go just as quick, if not quicker, on some of these BMX tracks, but it's not on the edge control because you've got that perfectly smooth surface. You've got the tarmac berm so that when you hit the berm, you know that if you turn on it, you're not going to slide out. You're not going to drift. You know you can put your full weight into the corner. And like when I was racing Jolly, you know, we were like, also the tracks are wide, so you can actually have a good go at overtaking someone. So you're not having that, he's first out the gate, first person to the first corner, and you basically single filed all the way down unless someone falls over, you know, because it's all tight. Like when I was racing Jolly the other week, I tried to overtake him twice on a small track. You know, at each corner, I was trying to squeeze my way past him. You know, that's like proper racing in kind of my eyes, because you're not, you know, like Court Farm is a prime example where them berms were beautiful berms, but they were so tight that once you were sat in it, I don't know, you couldn't I couldn't overtake them anyway. So that's kind of the idea. That was the idea. And yeah, I think it's not a bad way to try and showcase the sport, you know, in some sort of form, because you're asking, how do we get it? How do you get sponsors? How do you get people noticing it? So, you know, I think you had a good point of saying about like the Instagram and getting that, because boom, if you hit something on that and it goes viral, then millions and millions of people see it. But how do you get people to start typing in mountainboarding, you know, to search for it? So they got to see it, you know, and this is kind of where, like, I think in the skate parks, that's another good one, you know, in the skate parks, or watching what Emily's been doing quite a lot of recent, like watching Emily and Eamon when we were down in Cardiff for Matt's birthday, watching them do the corner there was phenomenal because it was just super smooth and flowy. And I think just having that, I think just trying to get your mountainboard in places where other people go. And if it looks easy, then they might have a go. You know? I think that was the thing we kind of messed up on years ago, where there were too many videos being put on YouTube when YouTube first came about, where we wanted to be this gnarly death metal 10 minutes of us falling over and breaking bones. And I think it's just that kind of stigmatized it. So I think that's kind of Leon's idea with the river cross, is that he just wanted some fast racing. He wanted to have more than just one weekend a year. You know, he just wanted to get, if it was 50 riders or 10 riders, or even if only 4 of us turned up and did it, you know, just enough that we could have that old kind of feeling of having 4 of you in the lanes trying to overtake each other on something that you're confident with, you know. That's so hopefully he does a bit more of them events, and because I think they're quite nice little events. It's just, you know, I feel like because he's doing them up north, that's why I think we were chatting about it at the pub. But yeah, it's a long way for you and Sloggs to come up, you know. So now it's like the reverse effect, you know, what we used to have. Without
a shadow of a doubt. I mean, there is a pump track at Mount Hawk outside that Ash, you've ridden around it on your downhill board, haven't you?
Chasing you,
You can make a lap, but you couldn't have a race on it. It's only a single.
No, it's one of the narrow ones. Yeah, it's one of the thin ones. I think as well, in the old, say like the old school mountain boarders, but like with the older generation of mountain boarders, there's a bit of a pump. I feel there's a bit of a pump track stigmatism that because it's flat, they think, oh, that looks hard work, and it is tiring. And at first, you know, it can be, and it's about having that flow and that rhythm. And it really is. That's why he called it rhythm. It's like, it's just having, it's like, you skate a lot, right? You skate. And I say this.
Certainly used to.
Yeah.
Not as much anymore, but.
So it's like, you know, you go on a vert ramp. Like I used to skate quite a bit of vert in the early days. And there's that point, right? This is how I see pump tracks. When you're on a vert ramp and you start from the middle, the first pumps are really hard work and you get nowhere. But then when you're at the top, it's real easy to get to the top on the other side. Once you're at that, once you pass that certain point. That's the same with rhythm cross. That's the same with the pump tracks. Is that when you first start on, if you're going slow, it's really hard work to build momentum. You think this is bloody knackering, right? But once you get past a certain speed, everything kind of just fits in really nicely, and it's actually less effort.
Yeah.
It's
the Rennie Miles effect. The bigger you go, the easier it is. The faster you go.
Yeah. And it really is. It's that once you hit past a certain speed, actually, they flow really nicely, and it's not hard work at all.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, some of the tracks on the pump tracks, I feel like I can go quicker. You know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we touched on it a bit before, and it goes in a number of ways, and it goes into course design as well. You know, you say about years back the thing for putting out the gnarly videos of, you know, crashes and death metal and stuff, and some of that was reflected in course design as well. You know, I mean, I had a hand in some of the courses, and yeah, I would say, I mean, some of the features that I put in reflected my style of riding, or what I deemed to be challenges, or you know, what I would like to encounter on tracks. But yeah, I mean, Leon has always been a fan of flow. You know, I think it was always rallied for that style of track, even long before rhythm cross was ever invented. Where
definitely.
Myself, I like to have a little bit of everything within a track if I can. I like to have, if possible, you would have a flow section, but also there should be things within a track to potentially not challenge the rider as such, but maybe make the rider think a little bit differently to just pump, turn, pump.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Pump, double pump, double, triple pump, you know?
I get what you mean. And I think, like, in my opinion, I think some of the tracks were maybe a little bit too far, you know, because it was like, you know, if you look at some of the tracks and you go, bloody hell, you qualified if you could get down it.
I think you're bang on the money there. But again, at the time, what Limp Bizkit would have been number one on the radio.
And that's it. And it's like, well, and that was a problem within the early days of only having, say, like a freestyle and a border cross event. It's because you look at it and go, right, freestyle border cross. So if you want to do a down, or you taking something that is like, if you look at what border cross is in the snowboard world, you know, and you look at how their tracks flow and how they're designed, and realistically, you don't get any like stupid drop-offs in it. It's just all pumps, rollers, you know, it's just nice, big swooping berms. But yeah, were you trying to build, or like others, you know, people trying to build, say, something that you would have put on a downhill course into a track, into a racing track? So realistically, if we had had the downhill events, you could have had a nice, perfect border cross, and then you have your downhill track, which has the challenges that make you think. Because in my opinion, the border cross, you shouldn't be thinking realistically, how do I get down this track? You should be thinking, how do I get down it faster than the man in the gate next to me?
Yeah. No, I think
you should overtake. It's like, and it's not thinking about, right, how do I make that corner? How do I do that drop off? It's how do I get past him in the corner? You know, you know, I think that's and
I think you make a valid point there. You know, that separation of those disciplines, if you will, isn't it? That the downhill would have because you're only essentially one person on the track at a time, you allow for the ability to have a more challenging track potentially, or to have some challenges on the track, whether it be an alternate line that might shave a second or two, or for those that are just on audio, Skully has disappeared, but he's still.
I don't know why.
Sound.
Can you still hear me?
Electric off.
Well,
Is he saving a few pennies? Is he?
yeah, mate. Times are hard, Times are hard. I don't know what's happened there. Here's a second. I'm gonna turn the light on. Well, give me a second.
This has been the technically difficult episode. Okay.
There we go. I'm back.
I quite like it though. It keeps it real. It keeps it real.
Well,
these issues.
yeah.
Well, I just had to, kick that hamster a little bit harder to make it more faster.
Stick a bit more food in the bowl.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think with them, when you look at it like that and go, when we went up to Scotland, I don't know if you came, the one in the Dunkeld track. Don't know if you came up or not.
I did. No. I think
it was like 2005, and we did that. And basically, we didn't have a border cross track, so we just did timed runs down a fire track that then cut off into the woods, and then you shut out the woods. And that was like a perfect opportunity, because then they did like a 10-minute segment on BBC Scotland, right, of them filming up. BBC Scotland came, filmed all about the event, because they had this like big UK series event up in Scotland, and it was quite rare that we went up to Scotland, I think, in them days. And yeah, and all it came was just us falling over through the woods, and that's all they filmed, and pretty much that death metal scene. And that went on BBC Scotland, that went on the BBC, and you're like, this is an opportunity to just edit the nice riding, and then what do you have? You'd have like JC or Tatham in a full face helmet looking like a Ninja Turtle piling through the trees. I think that's so, but that course, because that was a bit of a crazy course design when you got into the woods, because it was just very single track, then a big North Shore drop off, and literally the fastest way was to do the North Shore drop off and fall over. That was the quickest way, and get back up, and that was it. That's how you won. That's how you got the fastest time. Was at certain points you knew when to fall over to slow you down. So this is going back to like track design of like going, and like I said, I had a helping hand. I went up, with Bolesworth when that opened, and I'll put my hand up. I don't know why we did them first 5. Remember, there were 5 rollers originally.
Yeah.
That started off small and got bigger and bigger and bigger. That was done on purpose. That wasn't an accident, and I don't know why they did it. That they wanted the road. They didn't want it a nice, easy, smooth. They just wanted something to be challenging. So they put, right, we're going to make some awful triangles to spit people off. What is that? What is that about?
That was removing that center roller and turning it
smoothing. Yeah, I think that's you guys did it, didn't it, when you were up there?
Yeah,
that's when you.
But then my track redesign there when I did that didn't. It still had. There were still criticisms of that at the time.
Did you put the big double at the bottom? Was it you that
put the big double at the bottom? Which I loved. I loved. And if
I didn't mind it.
You couldn't pop it. If you popped it, then you'd overshoot it. You had to, and that's what I mean by,
And you couldn't pump it either. You had to wear it, because if you
you had to wear it, but you had to anti-jump it. It's just a different way of riding it. And so again, it's one of those things that, maybe shouldn't have, in retrospect. Maybe I should have just made it a table as opposed to the double, or even just get rid of the whoopy part of it so that you could hit it and not just absorb it.
Because you did come out of them corners at some speed, and that was it.
But it's always you're trying to put in the last feature, thinking, right, I want to put something in that's pretty good, and also be a bit of a,
a show. You want that?
Yeah,
exactly. You want them features. You want them things where you get that. People like it when they see backflips. They like it when they see 360s. They like it when you go and do if you're like solid stuck to the ground. You know, people. If you're not into the sport and you don't know nothing about it, racing can be real hit and miss because people want to see crashes. But if everybody's going perfectly smooth down it, then it can look a bit boring at times. I'll admit that. If you're like watching go down a pump track, unless people are trying to battle each other, even like, just watching the old racing, of like going down some of the gnarly tracks, you can very quickly get bored of just watching basically a train go down the track. It's only when you see a crash or a double or something like that. So,
or you actually see a bit of jostling in the corners. That's when racing.
That's when it gets exciting.
It doesn't matter whether that's on a downhill or on a pump track. That's the excitement part, isn't it?
So realistically, that's how we need to design a track, is to get it so people are fighting in a corner, and then it becomes less so much about the speed. That's why I used to do okay, is because I was never the quickest. I never qualified the quickest. But as long as I was kind of up there, I'd give it a go. I wouldn't be like bullied by people or have fear of people to try and, get past them, even if they were a much better rider than me. I'd still try and not have much respect for them, and be like, oh, that's Tom Kirkman, so he's easily going to be, I'd give it a go, and try and get past him or something like that, Yeah. Not that I race much with Tom, because he just beat me anyway.
I've been trying.
Yeah.
I've been trying. What else have I got on here? Couple of other questions. We touched on you touched on Dicko earlier. But you've also spent quite a bit of time with him away as well, haven't you? Did you?
Oh yeah.
Up to us?
Yeah.
Didn't you?
Yeah, we did.
You go hang at the Warren household as well. Seems to be a staple visit for most UK riders who have been to visit.
Yeah, so I think me and Joe were the first ones out there. So this was really weird, right? How we ended up going there, right? And it was her down. Either whenever Slater first came over, right? And so I think it was like September, and I went to her down, and as you're coming from east, you go down the little country lane to go to where her down was, right? That's how I met Ryan, and basically he was hitchhiking down there. He'd been in the country from Oz for about 4 days. He didn't have anything. He didn't have anything with him. All I saw was this guy in like his baggy shorts and a basketball jersey, hitchhiking down the country lane towards her down. And I went, that's a mountain boarder if I've ever seen a mountain boarder. So I stopped and was like, I went, you right, pal, how's it going? He went, fucking hey, mate, you couldn't give us a lift up here, could you? And then he's like, I know that was an awful impression. Basically, and I went, oh yeah, you're going to the comp. Look, as it happens, I'm heading there myself. I went, where's all your stuff? Right. So effectively what he'd done was he landed in London, got a train to Chichester, right, from London with all his kit, hitchhiked from Chichester to Herdown, or to nearby, to one of the villages nearby. When he got to the village, he was still hitchhiking, and somebody stopped and was like, we can't take you, but we can take your stuff. Right? So he gave them all his board, all his equipment, everything, his bag, his rucksack, it had his passport in and everything. And he was just walking down the road, and he had that much trust in them. And I went, and I can't remember who it was, but I said, oh, do you know what they look like? And he was like, he told me who it was, and it was somebody from Team Bad, right? It was one of the old Bristol lot. And it was a really sad, I don't know why he did that, but yeah. So I got on really well with Slater. because he was the first person, I was one of the first people he met when he come in here. And then a year later, after he was like we was working at Ted's, and I was kind of like, I was in this job, but it was coming to an end because I was just like a 5-month thing, and I had nothing to do, and I had a bit of money. And he goes, "Oh, why don't you come to Australia?" I went, "Yeah, okay." And I was sat there just drinking beers at an event, and Joe was like, "Yeah, I'll go," and that was it. So we went, "Let's do this." So we just went and we just flew out there. I had a flight there, a flight back, and £500, and that was it. So we stayed in like Slater's for a bit, like in his garage, you know, with like Slater and these two gold miners and this Spanish guy who was he was pretty crazy. I don't know what
people sleep in Slater's garage.
Oh no, we were the first, right? We were just like Slater, like we had like these bunk beds in there and stuff like that, and then afterwards, we then met Dylan, and we went out and met Joel, and all Dylan's. So like Dylan must have only been about, I think Dylan had just turned 18 at this point, and then Dylan was like, "Oh yeah, come stay at mine." So we lived at the Warrens for a month, you know. He's got like it was his mom and his dad, and they're absolutely amazing people, you know. They're so like. Here's two British lads. You know, you got an 18-year-old son who's just left school, and he's like, "Oh yeah, let's have these two British lads stay over at my house for a month," right? And he just like welcomed them in us as like part of the family. And then we basically flew to the north, got a van, and then we just drove for like three months. I think we drove for 2 months or something like that. All the way from the top of Oz, all the way back down to Melbourne, and then did the Great Ocean Road. Just hitting. I think Joe will probably still have the book somewhere, right? But we hit something like 109 skate parks, something stupid like that. That's all we did. We just hit skate parks after skate parks after skate parks, right? On bloody mountain boards. I tell you what, I'll come back a good skater. You know, I'm shit, I'll come back because that's all it is out there. It's like we went to a town and we were like, what should we do? And we didn't really know. So we go swimming in the ocean or we go hit a skate park, you know. And it's just like they don't have like now there's a lot more of them. But when I used to have a skate park, it'd just be like a box and a rail, you know, and there they were like all these big swooping concrete balls and, you know, that type of stuff. So yeah, that was amazing, you know. And yeah, we hung out with Dylan for quite a while, you know, and he had his little ghetto park next door that he built. So basically next door to his parents, because land is so, well, I don't know, there's where he lives is quite far out, or where his parents live is like quite far out in Melbourne. I think it's about a 2-hour train journey. Next door, they were building a house. So it's just like a big plot of land. But Dylan had decided, because it was on a hill, to build some jumps in it. So he built this, like, I think they've obviously, this was like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So they've obviously built the house there now. But at the time, so basically, Dylan had just kind of took over his next door neighbour's plot of land to build a little mountain board park in.
Probably robbing all their building supplies.
Yeah. And then Joe went there because obviously Joe's a really good carpenter, you know. Joe was like, "Yeah, mate, I'll build these a little bit more safer," you know. So Joe built him a quarter and helps it, and yeah. So yeah, that was really, really good out there. Just trying to think what we hit because you know, we hit so many parks and we saw so much weird stuff, right? And it's really hard to kind of explain until you see it, like, because we were just driving and doing like, I don't know, it wasn't like your typical backpacker holiday, you know, or anything like that. Yeah, it was. And then I think after we went out, I think like Ollie went out, and then Reese went out, and I think quite a few others, and then Dylan's come over here, and you know, we met and like Andy, I could not pronounce his surname.
Yeah.
Remember, double back who did the first proper banded double.
Malenkovic.
Yeah, he's like such a top bloke, and I think Andy come over here as well at some point, and you know, and they were just like, we went to his house, and his like parents had this like massive house out in the middle of nowhere. He's got like a trampoline buried into the ground, like a gymnastic one, where he's doing like quad flips and stuff like that. And yeah, and that's like the first time we saw a kangaroo. You know, basically, Dylan's mum's like, "Oh, go take them up to Andy's to see the kangaroos." So we went out there, and yeah, you just jump in the back of the van, or you jump in the back of the pickup, and they're driving around his back garden. You know, that's how big it is. It's like you have to drive around his back garden to go see stuff. You know, yeah, it's weird. It's good. It's really, really good. And then so yeah, that was the time with Joe. I think, living in a van with somebody for like 2 months. I think me and Joe did it. I think it did each other's head in, you know, afterwards, you know. Yeah, no, but
I
yeah,
always look forward to an event at Bugs, because 9 times out of 10, Joe will turn up with his wagon and get the tunes pumping or something. He's
a good, yeah. Obviously I've known Joe well. He's a top lad. You know, last time I can't remember when I last saw him. I spoke to him, but he was like building the boats, you know, and you know, building the boats down in Gloucester and doing that. So that's good. You know,
I bet if he turns up and gets him on the board, I bet you he hasn't lost a touch.
No, definitely not. It's like Rennie, man. It's like Rennie. Like I've not seen Rennie for ages, and then yeah, he still turns up and still pulls stuff. You know, yeah. I don't understand.
Been quietly getting his eye back in as Rennie. I think he's over the last year or so, it seems to have been that he's slipped along to Bugs a few times, and
I think so.
Into people, you know, topped onto the back of the trains that are hitting the big lines, and he's just, you can see it. Even when I've been with him, you know, over the last year, the progression back to his amplitude is coming.
Oh yeah.
If he's been continuing to go to Bugs and stuff like that since I last see him, by the time we get round to champs, I reckon he'll be back to his big old self, as we say. It'd be nice to see Joe turn up, and even if we get him to have a ride down the grass or something, just to have a giggle and a bit of a mass descent on the slope on the jib.
And this is why I think it's good about, like, when I say good, this is what I was chatting to somebody about. There's like quite a lot of, which is really good for the sport, like a lot of new talent coming in, and you know, I think you interviewed a load of them. Well, you interviewed a lot of them not that long ago.
Keep going with this, because you're leading us deliciously to a question.
Oh yeah, so that's what I was gonna say, right? I was gonna be like they are, like, you look at, I say Scouse Adam, you got Adam Barton and Mark Bishop, man. We were riding with him at Cleve, and it's just, these guys have got that you know, they're picking up the sport, you know, so fast. And somebody said to me, it's like, oh, do you think like some of the old boys, you know, like Matt and James, that would have a bit of a run for the money at, say, come Bugs? And I said, no, not really, because not yet anyway, because while the new lot are really good technical, I feel like they're picking stuff up really technical, you know, being able to, can you do that on them big jumps, you know? Because I think it's
got to dial it as well.
But this is the thing, it's like when we were in the woods the other day, Ash, you know, and I did that 3, and I was like, I can do 3s and I can pop a 3 off pretty much anything, right? Unless it's a big jump, you know. I can't, because I feel like once I go too big, you know, to me, it real scares me to go that big and to be in the air for, if I can count how long I'm in the air for, that to me is too long, you know, you know, where it's like, you know, you can give me a little jump and I'll pull something off it, right? And then give me the big one and I can't pull the same trick off it. And I think that's where Rennie and people like that still have the old edges, because they're used to doing, like, the fat face jumps were stupid, weren't they?
Yeah.
You know, down at Swanbrook, them night air jumps were stupid. And the Bugs ones, you know, are big, you know. So yeah, that's
past this year.
Yeah. Oh man, I was like, I had a go just to see if I could still clear the jumps, and I was getting bloody speed wobble going on to the run, you know. I better tighten these trucks up, you know.
Yeah. As we're on the newbies there, our final question, I'm looking at the time. We're into the last little section. So we'll go with the last
Yeah,
question.
nice.
Before we do though, Ash, are you there?
Yes.
Yes. Have you been whilst you've been negotiating Wi-Fi and issues? Have you had a chance to think of a Ash's 5 set, or as we're not doing a full Sloggs 10?
Oh, that's convenient, isn't it?
Oh, yes, I have. Right, I haven't got a 5 as such. We're going to call it Ash's 8.
Ash's 8, right. Well, let's do Mark's question then.
Mm.
Mark Bishop's question, then we'll go straight into Ash's 8. Okay, here we go. This one's from
Right, I've
Mark.
got 2 questions for Scully. First off, on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel about construction? And secondly, being a scientist, how genetically modified are you? Go.
Does that mean Ash, have you now only got Ash's 7?
No, I didn't put that one in. We've had discussions about that.
Oh, construction. I've got to go for a high, you know, a good 8, 9, or a 10 with construction. You know, I've got to love a bit of construction. You know, without it, you know, where we're going to be living. But yeah, how genetically modified am I? Oh, and then I got a plate in my wrist, and I've had my shoulder done, and other than aches and pains, that's it for genetically modified. I've been stitched up quite a few times. And not just in the medical sense. But yeah, but that's it. I don't know. Yeah. Oh.
Have you just had your rotator cuffs sorted, is it? Or
Yeah. You have yours done, I think.
Yeah. Done and had a few.
Yeah, mine
modification.
Mine kept popping forward, so I got a couple of bolts done, and you had to take the muscle from the back and stretch it over and then bolt it in place, because apparently there was nothing left of my rotor cuff because I left it that long. Where
that is a similar sort of story. He described it as like a cup. If you imagine a cup like that, where the bottom half of it is bone and the top half of it is tendon, and I had taken the tendon away from the bone and made like a hole in the side that the bone was just slipping out through, where it just worn away through so many fucking dislocations. Moral of the story is get sorted early, isn't it?
Well, yeah, like I remember, so like definitely, because some of the dislocations I did, this is, we say, like, go back to Emily's question, what's the gnarliest thing? I don't think they're gnarly, I just think it's fucking stupid, like how someone did my dislocations. One of them was like coming back from a night out, pissed up. We decided to swim across a pond, right? And as I swam halfway across the pond, and like I showed my girlfriend the pond, and she's like, "You swam across that?" I'm like, yeah, it's just like some rat infested filth, right? And we decided, yeah, this will be great. Summer's evening, swimming across it. Halfway across it, the shoulder falls out. So I'm like swimming with one arm. It gets even worse. Is that the ambulance that came? So mine, whenever they came out, like they always used to come out of the front. So they would come out of the front and they would just dangle down, and then I could never get it back in myself. So I'd always have to go to the hospital to get it put back in.
Yeah.
And the guy that came, so like there I am, like sat on a bench at like 4 a.m., right? Soaking wet because I've always just been swimming in a pond, right? Some poor lass from the chef ski, which is like the chef uni ski club, was putting my trousers back on for me, right? Because I couldn't do it because my arm's hanging out. And then the ambulance came, and the guy goes to me and goes, "I recognize you." And I went, "Oh yeah." And he went,
"Are you that one from that Mountainboard advert?"
Yeah. Not far off. I've got no clothes on, so why not? You know. And he went, and he goes, "Oh, I recognize." He went, "You did this last year, didn't you?" And I went, "What?" And I went, "Yeah, I did this quite regularly." He went, "Yeah, I picked you up last year." And apparently went, you was with a ginger lad and an American. I was like, yeah, a ginger lad and an Australian. And basically a year before, pissed up, was wrestling this guy like, and he just picked me up and threw me on the floor, and the shoulder popped out. So that's another trip to the hospital. And yeah, just shit. Like, man, it got to the point with that shoulder that I think, you know, I'd sneeze and it'd fall out. You know.
It was the same with me. I literally was at the point where I could be asleep at night, and if I rolled over funny, it would just flop out. If I reached for something, it would just fucking flop out.
Right. One came out in the shower, right? I was in the shower and I literally just went to wash my back. Just went around, and it just fell out. I'm like, what the fuck do I do, man? You know. And at that point, I was like, yeah, it needs to get done. It needs to get put back in. But one of the reasons I didn't get it done earlier is I waited, because when they wanted to do it was like May time. So I was like, oh, I'll get it done in the winter, because I didn't want it to get it done at the start of summer. And then I ended up getting it done a year later at the start of the summer. So I didn't want to miss. You know, it's at that point where like actually going to the events were like a big part. They were my summer, you know, going to all the different series. They were the summer, and I didn't want to miss that and not be able to race or ride. So I was putting it off. I put it off. Yeah, for that reason.
It's like a mirror story, Sky. It's like a mirror story for me.
You know, like I know people that used to go get like a good mate of mine's a skier, a really good skier. And he used to not have operations done until the summer, you know, for the reverse effect, so we could go out skiing in winter, you know. But yeah, it's crazy how like, and now look, is that your shoulder hurting? You know, thinking about
simply now I'm that.
Is it your front arm by any chance as well? You know?
Yeah.
Everything I've hurt is always on the left hand side, and I'm for being a regular rider, you know. But I think that was one of the reasons Tom stopped riding, weren't it? Tom and Alex and that, they just got sick of hurting themselves.
Yeah.
You know, I remember chatting to Tom years and years ago, and he was like about something. He just went, and the tricks that they were pulling, if they didn't land them, it was almost a guaranteed broken bone. You know what I mean? Because they were doing like stupid cork nines and stuff like that. If they didn't land the trick.
They rarely wore had like you ever see any videos with pads in or helmets as well.
Yeah. It didn't make any difference, I think. It didn't make for him anyway, because you just put a knee pad on and he's slamming on his hip, you know, or he's slamming on his and like the wrist guards that we have, I don't know if there is that fit. Like the Harbingers, I absolutely love them to bits, but they're shy. But then if you get a wrist guard that's too big, there's that theory in the old snowboarding world where you fall down and you don't break your wrist, you break your arm, you know. So I don't know. I think it got to the point with Tom, the pads didn't make the helmet one. I agree with you there, but like but a lot of the other pads, I don't think it made much difference for him because he was going that big anyway. But yeah,
true.
Well, man, I've seen you, Ash, man. You've took some big slams. I don't know how you get up off that stuff that you've took, you know.
All up here. It's all up here. So you need to go to hospital. If personally, I think, until you seriously need to go, you can't walk or anything. Then you shouldn't ever not get back up and go to the top. It's my opinion. It's just a message into the area. If you delete the message from your brain before it reaches the area, then you're fine. That's my philosophy. It works, honestly. And half of it is don't look like you're there. Don't be a pussy. Don't look like you're there.
But not all of us has. I was gonna say not all of us has like slow internet connection like you know. So our messages get through a bit quicker.
Yeah, my internal hub is
Should we try and persevere and do a little Ash's 8 set?
Yes.
Let's go. I'm going to shut up and pound it over to you, Ash.
A little bit like Sloggs is, but I've twisted the things to self a bit like Sloggs does. So I'll just read it on my piece of paper that I've written it. So, reg or goof?
Regular.
Frontside or backside?
Let's do that one again.
Frontside or backside?
Front side or backside? Or depends on the trick. Depends. So like I find some backside frees easier, but I think a front side free looks better. Let's do it that way. So I think front sides, I don't know what it is. I think front sides look better to spin them.
Yes. Right.
Unless it's a
Absolutely.
180. Unless it's a 180, then the back 180.
Yeah.
Just I don't know why they just like.
So what do you prefer to side or backside?
Probably a backside three, but if I can do a front, if I probably do a backside, but if I can give a good front and go, then I'll. I don't prefer to do them. I think they look better, but I don't prefer to do them because they're scarier for me anyway. It's that last little
Right.
90 degrees. Is that, I don't know if that really answered it. I've just kind of got my way out of that.
Yeah. I like both. Right. So number 3 will be favourite centre, past or present.
I've got to go for the old OTG. The OG, that's always been my favourite. Don't know why. It just always had a nice flow and a nice feel to it.
Right. Okay, that's all right. So number 4 we'll go with ribbon cross, border cross, or free ride.
Nice.
Oh, I'm gonna go border cross or free ride, but it depends on the border cross or free ride. So like if it was out to grass, I'd pick that any day of the week. But then if it's little free rides like say Steatley Quarry or something that's not.
Is what do you prefer to do? I suppose.
Oh, I probably do border cross. Probably say border cross. I'd probably say border cross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. This one's a little bit like the second question I asked, but obviously being changed. Or spin.
Hey?
Shifty or spin.
Oh, shifty. Shifty is the go-to, mate.
Just so you know, I'm so glad you brought it up because in my little notes here, I've made a note right at the bottom there to talk about the backside shifty.
Hey, it's like I can do. There was a lass on the snowboard across years ago, right, in the Olympics, and she did a backside shifty and fell over and like ate shit, right, and she like lost. Yeah, in 2006, wasn't it? 2006, right? And when everybody was like, why did she do that, right? Why did she do it? And her answer, and I completely understand why she did it. She just lost it on the landing. It's because when I was doing a lot of drops years and years ago, I'd do a drop off onto something, and I don't know what it is, right? I would, no matter how big the drop is, I'd fall off. If I just ollied off it, I'd fall off. As soon as I put a shifty in, I'd land it because I was too busy in the air thinking about the shifty and not that weird hang time where you start flapping or something like that. And that's it. That's the only reason why I do it so much is because if I don't do it, I fall off. It's something I like.
Maybe I need to start thinking.
You know.
Yeah.
There you go. Next one.
I'm gonna steal that idea because I can stress. You hear me?
Yeah,
I
just
said
about.
I'm going to steal that idea because I can't do. That is one of my favourites. Least favourite rider to cannot be Sunny.
Least favourite rider.
Least favourite rider. I think we got
Yeah,
that. I think we definitely got that. Least favourite rider.
Sunny Dibben.
Oh, I don't mind Sonny. Oh, least favourite rider.
You can
It
actually say
depends.
Sloggs because he's not here.
I know. It's just maybe like, how do you call him? What? Do you know what I mean? because I find them hard to ride against. I think they're a bell end.
I think
You know what?
the safe way is to get. That's the safe way to doing it.
Yeah, I
the
reckon
nice
so,
way to
yeah.
not offend anyone. To
Exactly.
go to
That's
someone
why I
that's
figured.
blatantly better.
Yeah, someone that's. It's just there was a lot of. I can't really pick a lot of older riders. I say older riders. I say more your generation riders. Oh, in that case, it was just horrible to ride against. That was bloody JC. It's probably one of the worst people to ever ride against because he would just pile into you, you know, and he knew what he was doing, and it was so purposefully. He wouldn't have any skill. Like, he was so quick.
Yeah.
And he would purposefully, like, that's my line, and I'm going to take it. If you're in front, he wouldn't try and deviate and try and overtake you, you know. There's like, yeah. There's like, in my opinion anyway, there's wrestling, like what I was on about earlier on, where you'd maybe have like a little, you get close and you kind of know each other's spatial area, you know, when you're like basically riding side by side to each other. But if you were on his line, he would just plow through you, you know. He would purposefully like connect trucks or connect wheels, knowing that his 9-inch no snow wheels were going to ride over you, you know? For the same reason, if you remember him, Jack from down Chichester way.
Jack Honeyman?
Yeah, Jack Herneman. There's a picture from the Scottish event where it pissed it down with rain, and it was up at Helensburgh, so just on the outskirts of Glasgow. That was 2004, and it just rained. And he had and there's a picture somewhere, and basically I was winning and I fell over because it was that wet and sliding. It was just like an ice sheet. And Jack Herneman had 13-inch skyways on, and he's just like into the side of me, and he's pushing me over the finish line by basically me sliding like me sliding like this, and Jack just charging through, pushing me, you know, like pushing me over the finish line.
Did you get the win for that?
Yeah. I got the win. Yeah, I got the win for that. Yeah. It was only like the second. It was only like, I'll tell you how bad the tracks were. I think I ended up coming like higher than Kirkman, because Kirkman got knocked out in like the first round because he just slid out, you know, because everybody was like sliding out on it. But yeah. Okay.
Right. Next one, you can hear me then. The Bryn brothers, Franklin brothers.
The Bryn brothers.
Yeah, what about them?
Oh, the Wanklin brothers.
Oh, the Brindio Wanklins.
There
we go. Oh, I don't know. I'd probably have to go in terms of riders. I'd probably go Brindies. You know, I think Matt is very clinical. You know, like when you watch his style, Matt is very clinical, and I think Andy's got a very good style as well. But I don't know. But then, I think they've slightly just got the edge, only just based on more style than technicality. Jamie, and I think
they put the reps in them boys, that's for sure. I mean, I know James and Ben do themselves, but you know, that bag training that the Bryn boys do, it's got to reap rewards at some point.
And I remember watching some of the videos Matt had done on the Nitro Circus, and that was like that's next level. That is like game changer, you know. That's like in terms of our sport, that's taking it from what we do in the skate parks or whatever to that's the Olympic standard looking, you know, like that kind of idea behind it, you know. That's like the Tony Hawk concept, you know, if that makes sense.
No, it does. Definitely it is.
And like you say, it's because they've got the airbag, and having that compound that they've got down there is just consistent training, and that's what I mean by like Matt is so clinical. It's that perfection, you know, in terms of having everything done. So yeah, I think they've got that edge. Yeah.
This is a weird one I've just come up with. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, keep going.
So this is the 3 Fs. Finger, fuck, and it will be Paul Butler, Paul Turner, Paul Sloggett.
Oh, Paul Turner, Paul Turner, Paul Sloggett, and who was the third Paul?
Butler.
And it was finger, fuck, or fit.
Fight.
Finger, fuck, or fight. Oh, good one.
So who I have to finger, who I have to fuck, and who do
Yes. I know my answers. Fs.
I'd probably finger Butler because I feel there'd be less repercussions, right? If I did anything, I feel like he's gonna beat me up the most, right? Out of all of them, right? So even though even like in the early days, and you say I've been around quite a lot, I never really spoke to Sloggett that much, right? So I'd probably have to take him out, get to know him, wine and dine him, and then fuck him.
He would love that. He would love that.
Right. So that's what I do, I spoke to him a bit over the past year and that. So yeah, that's what I do. And then, I feel like I got a lot of abuse over Turner over the years, so I just have to give him a good fisting, just to get my own back. That's the only way I can do it. That's my logical answer behind all this.
I like that. So Sloggs is going to be in absolute heaven, knowing that he's getting a meal out of it. Just promise me one thing: after you've built him up, you've made him feel like a complete and whole man, and done your dirty way with him. Don't ever call him the next day.
Oh no, mate! No. There's no numbers. He's not even gonna. I gave him a different name.
Flirt divert.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Listen, Ash, we're knocking on quite late here.
Yeah.
But this, I'd hope that we'd sort of touch on a little bit more briefly about the AT Borders. Scully, you are a AT Borders rider, am I correct? Part of the team. Ash, you are you're all founding members as such. Where's that at the moment, and what can we expect to see off of the AT Borders in the near future? Are you allowed to give us anything?
Yeah. So I think it's touching on the media aspect. What we were on about earlier on is that what can we do? How can we go about bringing basically the sport back into the limelight? How can we kind of get it to the masses? And we're just trying to see it not just as, I think the idea and the mentality is not, although it's AT Borders, and that's from something that Ash's brother started years ago, and that group and them group of lads. And that from the early days, I've known, that's how I met Ash. It was not actually through mountainboarding. I met Ash through his older brother, and that. And I feel like what we're trying to bring back with it is not so much the boarding of just being like you say with the Bryn brothers of this clinical boarding, or Dylan, or whatever Dylan's doing over that way. It's we're trying to bring back more of an attitude and a feel to actually just a group of mates that do this, that have a laugh, have fun, or we do a bit of mountain boarding on the side, and then try and see if people kind of get that,
Yeah.
And
well,
hopefully,
I certainly.
Yeah. There we go. So that's kind of the idea and the concept of it. Yeah.
We're trying to focus on the articles and stuff as well, to somewhat for people to read, but it's we're trying to find still.
Mm.
Will we
Yeah.
see? I mean, obviously, you guys have got the website going on where you're featuring your articles and stuff like that. Will we see? Will we ever see any of those articles move over in some format to the social medias platforms, or is it something that are you hoping to draw on it being a site in its own right? I mean, will it have has it got a is there an old school messenger board as such, or is there a forum for us or anything like that? Or
I'm not sure. I think like we kind of want the forum potentially, because there was a forum on the original AT Boarders website, and obviously, like I say, you're going back to the ATV shop forum and the surfing dirt and stuff like that. And yeah, so maybe, yeah, I think there will be more of a social media presence. We've just not pulled our finger out yet, and that's the only kind of content.
Still finding the speed.
Yeah, and I think we're trying to tap in. I think like one of the gold mines is like trying to tap into that Instagram type market, of doing that, and that's why we kind of do some videos or we've done a couple where it's like a little bit of riding and then a bit of a messing about and joking, because we're just trying to, and again, it's trying to get it to, like you say, sometimes if it gets gold, it will hit 1 million people might view it, who are not riders, so how do we tap into that market?
Yeah,
I think that's what we're trying to do.
And once if you do get something that hits to a wider spread market, it's then getting those back in again.
Yeah. Hopefully we can try and get it snowballing it. Yeah.
Having a one hit viral thing is potentially it ain't easy. But that's where it's pretty rare.
And then having it consistent, and that's the thing, is that like if you can get one person, or like you get one, and then they see something and be like, oh, there's a website to go to, or they've got a load of old videos, and then try and get it circulating that. So I think we just need to make sure like we're getting regular content out, every week or every couple of days or something like that, and then posting more, and just to try and build it that way. So I think that's what we're trying to do. But there we go. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, Ashley, is there any questions you wanted to ask Sloggs while we ask Sloggs whilst we've got a few minutes and you've got reasonable reception?
Do I have reasonable reception?
No is the answer to that question.
You can't even stage this. You can't even make this up. It's like you can't even set that up. You're like, for fuck's
sake. Sloggs' kid Baxter has been round playing with both of their laptops and fucked.
Yeah.
This is a bloody apple. No. I tried.
We have tried. I thought we was on to a winner.
I know.
Rerun it another year when 80 bucks has got bigger, eh?
Yeah, let's do that.
Well, that's what you could do. Give us next summer and then see, and we'll get like a few of us together, not at Ash's house, and we'll do like an AT Borders special,
Do you know what? I'm going to hold you to that.
Yeah, because we could do that as long as it's not at Ash's house, someone with a decent internet, we'll see how we get on.
I'm going to make a note of that right now in my orders, in my list of alternate episode ideas.
Here we go.
And actually, 80. I've just realised 80 Borders is in there twice now. I've already thought. That's why I write that shit.
There we go.
Look, man, Scully, it's been absolutely joyous having you on here. You've made me cry with laughter at times.
Absolute pleasure, Dan. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, if there's not anything else or is there any thanks or anything else you'd like to say, Scully, before we?
Yeah, well, yeah, obviously a big thanks to just the mountain board community on a whole, big thanks to a lot of people that I've met over the years, and it's even now, still meeting new people through this, and so yeah, it is a nice little sport with a good family feel to it, so
yeah,
there you go. Thanks for Ash and his supportive internet signal.
Brilliant. It's been nice for me just having the moral support of seeing him smiling there.
I know.
Oh, I wish it were working. Could have just got fun. Anyway,
gentlemen, thank you for your time. Thank you for coming on.
It's been a pleasure.
I'll be seeing you all in
a couple of weeks.
Yeah. But for tonight or today, that's it, ladies and gents. You're watching the Dirt. Oh shit! I should have got you, Ash. See it out. Let's persevere. You didn't get to do the intro. At least, buddy, close the show.
All I'd like to say to everybody is thank you for watching. You've been watching the Dirt, and see you later.
Way aye, man. That was dead canny as out that like. Cheers for tuning out to listen. Now, before you gan yem, don't forget, if you want to keep getting doing with the Dirty Dirt fun, like and subscribe. Get amongst it. Shy Ben's getting out.